Hello, my name is John Ross Miller. Welcome to the company audit of Massaro Construction Group and Schneider Electric. My other team members are Andrew Stefko, Nick Holnadir, Matt Wickline, and Hussein Ayudiz. The two companies we are auditing are Massaro, a general contracting and construction company founded in 1967 and headquartered in Pittsburgh, PA. They have approximately 200 employees. The second company, Schneider Electric, a global specialist in energy management and automation, is headquartered in France with approximately 144,000 employees. During our interview process, we covered 10 topics for our ethics audit. They included the communication of ethics by the leadership, the assessment of ethics during the selection process and continued training of the employees, any formal ethics codes and its dissemination within the company, ethical behavior and the performance evaluation of that, dealing with ethical misconduct within the company, ethical awareness of the employees, reporting of ethics violations within the company, and incorporation of ethics into company decision making, as well as ethics training for the management, and finally, the ethics governance and guidance within the company.
Hey Eddie,
Hey, how you doing?
what's going on, man?
Not much, just doing some work.
Can I bother you for something?
Yeah, what do you need?
So I gotta do this ethics audit, and I just started my own company, so I don't really have a company to audit.
Yeah. Cool.
Can I ask you questions about yours?
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you
That's
work for
fine.
again?
Massaro.
Massaro?
It's a general contractor and a construction management firm around Pittsburgh, so
Okay.
we do
Is
a
that-
lot of work.
Is it like a big firm or?
It's moderately sized. Went through some restructuring lately, but it's a good fit.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if you don't mind if I
Yeah, no, ask me.
bother you for a little bit.
Ask me whatever you want.
Yeah, so with this audit, I think one of the first questions is your leadership. Do you feel like they send a clear ethics message?
Definitely. Our president is Joseph Massaro III.
Good.
That's fine. Joseph Massaro III is our president, and he's kind of our guy that we go to and talk to about any kind of ethical questions.
Yeah.
And, right from the beginning, your first day on the job, we review the Massaro's core values and our code of conduct and sign papers
Okay.
and everything like that. So it's about a 2 to 3 hour meeting.
Oh, wow.
Just reviewing those topics.
Cool. So you would say that they definitely have ethics as part of their leadership agenda?
By far. I mean, there's posters of core values and, how we're supposed to abide by those core values throughout the entire building, in offices and conference rooms. They do a very good job of, showing their overall message and how they want, the people of their company to act on the job site.
So I guess my first question would be, do you think that your leadership sends a clear ethics message?
By far. I actually spoke to Joseph Massaro III.
Okay.
We call him Joe 3 around the office. He's president of Massaro Corporation, and he made it clear that the executives, leadership, his family, everyone who works at Massaro is a representation of him and the leadership. So they want to make it very clear, their standards ethically, and how they present it, and they want to make it a clear part of the agenda for Massaro.
So they do have, ethics is then part of their leadership agenda?
Yes, by far. The first day on the job, actually, you go through a 3 to 4 hour training session just on Massaro's core values.
Wow.
And their code of conduct. And then at the end of it, you actually sign a piece of paper saying you acknowledge, that everything was discussed and you will abide by all their rules and their standards. And
Okay.
by extension of that, walking around the building, they have signs of their core values, just stapled on walls in conference rooms, offices, and things like that,
So with Massaro, do they incorporate, ethics into their selection process, the recruiting?
Yes, From the very beginning, the director of HR is the first person that you speak to in the interview process. And talking to Joe 3, about the entire, how they analyze an interview is really based on the behavioral analysis.
Okay.
So that was kind of what the director of HR looked at and analyzed, and if the director of HR felt like you met the core values and the standards of Macero, then she would pass you along to a project executive or a project manager, which would further your interview.
So it sounds like that integrity is included in, orientation with new employees.
By far, integrity is one of Macero's core values, and that's the main thing that they look at whenever they're looking at potential employees, is their integrity. They try to manage or analyze, how a potential employee is going to act in certain situations, because in the construction industry there are a lot of situations where your integrity can really be an issue.
But does Macero have a formal code of ethics that they distribute throughout the company?
Definitely. As I previously stated, the code of conduct and our core values incorporate the formalized ethics in it, and that is reviewed on the first day that you're hired, and
Okay.
acknowledgement is needed.
Are the ethics reinforced in Macero in any way?
By far, every single company meeting, whether it's
Wow.
a division meeting or the entire company, every meeting starts off with a review of the core values and ethics at Macero and the standards and how they want you to present yourself
Nice.
at the workplace.
So, in Macero's performance reviews, do they focus on ethical behavior in the reviews?
By far, every year we have a performance review, and there's roughly 4 to 5 questions
Okay.
that discuss specific situations that are dealt with in the construction industry, and how you answer those questions and how you performed in the previous year with the analysis of your manager. That's reviewed, and then also we have core value awards that are given at our company meetings for employees that exemplify the characteristics of Macero's core values and follow the ethics that our ownership expects from us.
Okay. So, would you say then that ethical means as well as ends are an important part of the performance review?
By far, construction industry, a lot is focused on getting the building done, getting the building done. But what also drives companies, is profit, and that's something that's very hard to manage in a construction industry in today's day and age, because you can't continue working without profit. And pretty much at Macero, we focus on getting the building done and doing it correctly, and we worry about the profits at a later date. And we really care about our customers, the developers, because at the end, it's their building. It's their building, it's their money. So if we complete a project 6 months late, that's 6 months of lost revenue for the developer. And we would rather have those lasting relationships with the customer than, tarnish that and, just for the sake of getting money in the short term.
Okay. Great. So as I'm thinking about these performance reviews, I immediately, think about ethical misconduct. How is that dealt with in Macero?
Well, at Macero, obviously, every employee is a representation of the company and of the ownership. It's the ownership's last name on the company, and every single ethical misconduct is not tolerated at Macero and is dealt with in the appropriate fashion, no matter the level of the company, the level of the employee in the company, I should say, whether it's, just either if it's a janitor or if it's, one of the owners.
Okay.
They deal with it the same way. And by an extension of that, this is also reviewed in the interview process, and if they feel like someone does not live up to their standards, they will not employ that employee, or they will terminate that employee.
How do they report any of this ethical misconduct they see?
Well, there are multiple ways. If you're comfortable enough to report it with yourself being known, you can go directly to HR or one of the Maceros. Their doors are always open. But if you would rather report it anonymously, on our company intranet, there's actually a compliance line with a phone number that you can call in anonymously, and it's very accessible. As soon as you go on the website, it's right there.
Great. So are ethical concerns incorporated into the formal decision-making process, or does Massaro solely focus on the finances?
Well, in the construction industry, there's change orders, which are changes from the original design. And during change orders, you get a quote from your subcontractor, and then you review it and pass that on to the ownership. And a lot of times what you can see is subcontractors or general contractors inflating numbers to increase their profit line. And that Macero does not do that. We focus on the ethics and not on the profits. We provide all documentation, all receipts, and if needed, we go and get other quotes to provide the necessary documentation and the correct pricing.
Great. Andy, so last question I got for you. I really appreciate your time. Does Massaro have like a formal ethics committee that handles all this?
No. Macero is a privately owned company, and as I said before, it's their last name on the building, on the company, so we're all representations of them. So that ultimately, if they feel like someone is not living up to their standards ethically and professionally, it's their decision.
All right, cool. Hey, thanks for helping me out.
Don't mention it, man.
Hey, Nick, can I ask you a favor?
Sure.
I'm working on an ethics project.
All right.
And I need a company to do an ethics audit on, and I don't have my own company. Can I use yours?
Sure.
Who do you work for?
So I work for Schneider Electric. We are a global energy management company, and some of our brands you might know is like Square D or Pelco or APC.
Okay. Yeah, pretty cool.
So yeah, that works.
Cool. Yeah, this should only take like maybe 10 minutes. I got a few questions just to run through real quick. So first, basic question, your leadership, do they send a sort of a clear ethics message? They have like a ethics agenda in the company?
Yeah, so our leadership sends a very clear message in regards to ethics. It's part of our sustainability initiatives.
Okay.
So our two top priorities are ethics and safety, and they send that message multiple ways throughout the year, whether it's an annual broadcast, quarterly updates, or other regular communications. And we also maintain that through our scope principles, so straightforward, challenging, open, passionate, and effective.
Nick, so my next question would be on selection. Does Schneider Electric, do they incorporate ethics into the selection process, like orientation and also with training new employees?
Yeah, sure. So we have our principles of responsibility, which is our company's code of ethics, and it's contingent upon employment. So a new employee has to review it and kind of sign it that they agree with it. In addition, new employees have to go through a training course, and existing employees go through a training every other year to review the principles of responsibility.
All right, Nick, so my next question would be on selection. Does Schneider Electric, do they incorporate ethics into the selection process, like orientation and also with training new employees?
Yeah, sure. So we have our principles of responsibility, which is our company's code of ethics, and it's contingent upon employment. So a new employee has to review it and kind of sign it that they agree with it. In addition, new employees have to go through a training course, and existing employees go through a training every other year to review the principles of responsibility.
You said principles of responsibility?
Yep.
Is that your formal code of ethics then?
Yeah, so the principles of responsibility is our formal code of ethics, and it gets updated every so many years. But we kind of reinforce it every other year with a training. So that training allows us to just go over it, reinforce things, keep things fresh in people's minds.
Okay. So with your performance reviews, how does your performance reviews reinforce ethics? And also, do they focus on the means as well as the ends?
So our performance reviews have kind of two parts to them. One part reinforces the numbers and the measurables for your specific job, but then we also have another part
considerations, how are they taken into the formal decision-making process? Or does the company really solely only focus on the financials?
So safety and ethics are our company's two top priorities. So ethics is incorporated everywhere and everything for the most part. There's a series of checks and balances throughout the company that help keep things in line.
Go ahead. And as far as the management, are they trained in ethical decision-making?
Yeah, so ethics is continually reinforced within the company, and they're actually starting to use a process now more where they drive the ethical communications through the manager to create a feedback mechanism. So the managers can provide the communication to the employees, and the employees can provide feedback up to the manager.
So my final question is there a formal committee, like a formal ethics committee that drives the ethics of the company?
So the way our company handles ethics, we have a three-tier model, and within that three-tier model, there's a part focused on prevention, there's a part focused on investigation, and another part focused on control. And then in addition to that, we have an executive committee, and that executive committee gets together 2 to 3 times a year, and they review all the ethical things that come up throughout the year, so it's transparent throughout the organization.
Nice.
Anything else?
No, you covered it all. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
After collecting and assessing the information on each company's ethics programs, we were able to conduct a comparison and found many similarities. For example, both companies use a value-based system focused on the application of virtuous ethics. Core values and employee integrity were key to the company's ethics code. Also, both companies prioritized ethical awareness as part of the company culture by making it part of the selection and continued training process, as well as meetings and company distributed literature. Both companies prioritize a high internal locus of control by promoting responsibility for one's own actions and providing an anonymous avenue for whistleblowing on ethical misconduct. Both companies strive to promote taking the ethical action over just achieving profits, pursuing ethical means, not just the ends. And finally, both companies used well-developed formal systems to develop a culture of ethics throughout the company. With such quality programs in place, it was difficult to develop suggestions for improvement, as both companies have done well in developing an ethical company culture and awareness in consideration of their vast differences in size. We feel that they could learn from each other, however, on how each company approaches developing an ethical company culture, and our recommendations are likely related to the size of the companies. Schneider Electric is a significantly larger international company that has a very well-developed and formalized ethics program. Massaro could do well to apply some of their processes, such as having an official ombudsman and creating a formal ethics committee that meets quarterly. For Schneider Electric, the principles of responsibility, which is their ethics code, was initially confusing when trying to understand exactly what the company's code of ethics was. Simplifying the communication of their code of ethics would help improve the ethical awareness of the employees in the company. Also, it was a little difficult to get a clear and well-defined breakdown of their sustainability goals. They have a lot of initiatives going on, but it came across as a little unfocused. Also likely a communication issue, not a strategic issue. Thank you for watching this presentation on the ethics audit of Massaro and Schneider Electric. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something that you can take with you to your company.